So in today's video, I'm going to be reviewing a smart home security camera that isn't going to be for everyone. So let's check it out. Hey everyone, and welcome to a new video on Bite of Geek. Today I'm taking a look at a smart home security camera from EZVIZ. It is the EZVIZ EB8 4G. So that might give you a bit of a clue why it might not be for everyone, but they reached out to me. They asked me if I would be interested in reviewing this camera, and they have kindly provided one for the purpose of doing that on the channel. As is always the case with anything I review that manufacturers, suppliers send through, no money's gone and changed hands for this, so you get my honest opinion on this. And yeah, you know, a couple of previous EZVIZ cameras, I thought they've been quite good. Will this one, which is very different, will this one be the same? So and what I will go through in this video, I'll show you what's in the box, I'll go through the setup of it, and I'll get this up and running outside in use, and you can see some of the footage on it as well, and then I'll give you my overall opinion of it, whether that's good or bad. So let's get to it. So this is the EZVIZ EB8 4G smart home battery camera. Very similar design to one of the cameras that I reviewed recently on the channel from EZVIZ, one of their powered Wi-Fi ones. This is a battery camera, so similar kind of specification to that previous camera, you know, all kind of like the same kinds of things, you know, it's all details on the box, but we'll go into that a little bit more. What I want to do is just get the box open up, let's just see what's inside. A little leaflet there, another leaflet, stack of leaflets, installation guide, so we'll have a look at that in a second. And then we've got the camera itself, which this is actually quite heavy with it being the battery version. So we've got an adapter card for our SIM card, and then we've got our roll plugs and screws, and then we've got USB-C cable there for charging. So in terms of the camera, as I say, very similar design, you know, this kind of ball head camera design that they come up with you know, kind of like the mount like this. It is a slightly different mount to the previous one because obviously it's got the battery in this as well. So yeah, you know, I kind of wonder, you know, there's a lot of extra weight further back in the mount on this, but yeah, you know, it's extremely similar. I did like the design of the previous camera. You know, it quite happily turns around. Underneath here, behind this this little rubber cover, which is not that easy to get to, is your USB-C port, so well weather protected there. You know, the base has got quite a few things, or the mount I should say has got quite a few things on this, so yeah, it really is a lot of weight in that. I'm be interested to see what this is like when it's mounted to something. So you're probably going to want this mounted up a decent height, I would say. That doesn't look like that is protected in any way to stop somebody just taking that off. Not quite sure what that little hole is for on the bottom there, but yeah, if that's the only thing that's actually stopping the camera being detached from the mount, you probably want this out of easy reach, I would say. I'm just going to open up this cover, just hopefully this will all show up on the camera. So there's just a couple of screws here. I think this is fairly secure. Nobody's going to come out with a screwdriver of this particular size to try and get this cover off, but it is, you know, it's as it was with the other camera, you know, it's all water protected there. And yeah, okay, so inside, hopefully the camera's picking that up, but you've got on one side you've got space for your micro SD card, and on the other side you've got your 4G SIM card slot as well. So this EZVIZ camera is battery powered, and it comes with a 10,400 milliamp hour battery, which is quite a large battery. So there's no lifespan quoted on the box or anything like that, but I would imagine that is pretty good for at least 6 months. You can also, according to the box, you can also plug in a solar panel as well, so you can keep your battery topped up. Certainly useful if you're going to have this somewhere where you're not going to be around all the time. It's a 340 degree pan and 65 degree tilt camera, so a good wide range there. Should be able to cover most of the area that you want to keep an eye on. So it's a 2K 3 megapixel camera, which I think is probably going to be good enough for most people, to be honest. You'll see in the video footage later on, how good the quality is or not. I do my walk test with the A4 printed sheet, so you can see the clarity of how it can pick up text. And to help with those video file sizes, you have H.265 and H.264 encoding in terms of quality. So certainly 265 will definitely help to keep those file sizes nice and small. So in terms of your motion detection, you've got your smart human detection on board, which you can configure. You'll see that in a bit in the options in the application. And then we get onto kind of the standard features that you find on a lot of these types of devices. So you've got two-way audio, you've got colour and black and white night vision, you've got an alarm siren and a strobe light as well, which you'll see in the footage, that's quite a bright light. And then nice to see on a camera of this specification, you've got a 512 gigabyte micro SD card slot. So, plenty of recording capability. Local storage, if you want, you've also got cloud storage as well, which is available, and you can have there's a free trial of that when you install and set up the camera. So this is a 4G mobile data connectivity only camera, so there's no Wi-Fi, there's no Ethernet port. You have to use a SIM card with this, so something to bear in mind if you like the look of this camera. And finally, you've got Google and Amazon smart device integration as well. So to start off the setup process, what you're going to need to do is just press and hold down the power button on the base for a few seconds, and then the camera will kick into action. It'll start talking to you.
Startup successful.
The head will move. You get a little blue light that you can see there that will come on. And then it will go through the process of just making sure that your SIM card is actually inserted.
SIM card inserted. Please make sure it is a valid card.
And it will then try and detect that you've got that data connection there.
Connection successful.
Okay, and then the last bit.
Platform registration successful.
So that camera is now ready to continue with the rest of the setup in the mobile app. So if your SIM card, maybe you've got a pay-as-you-go card, that's what I've used in this. If you haven't got any data left on it, or you've not registered it with the mobile provider yet, then you won't be able to use that in the camera. It'll tell you all of that. So what I'm going to do now is go into the app, and I'm going to add the device. So it's just a matter of scanning the QR code on the base. EZVIZ make it a really straightforward process to go and add the cameras to the mobile app. So obviously I already have an account set up with them. If you haven't got that, you'll need to set up that account. But give it access, the permissions that it needs, whether it needs access to your photos and things like that. You're going to need to be able to store footage on the device. It will also ask you if you want to change the encryption of the video recordings. Now, on the base of the camera, there is a password for the default, for the kind of like the encryption as it is out of the box. You can change that. For this purpose, I've left it as is, so you just back out of that option and it's fine. It'll let you carry on. So I can go and get this set up outside. I'm just going to set up the detection sensitivity. I'll go through a lot of the other options in the app in a different part of this video, but I'm just going to set this up first, and you can test that. These beeps that you hear are me testing the setup of the sensitivity. So one last thing before I'm good to go and get this installed outside. I've popped a 128 gig card into this camera, even though it can go up to 512 gig, but I need to format it. So I generally find it's always best to format the memory cards in the device. So just going to do that now. At this size, it takes probably less than a minute to go through. So once this is done, I'm going to get this installed outside. So just going through some of the features of the app. Now this has actually been updated since I started testing this, so it's now got some really good battery information on there. But you've got a kind of like a whole battery management section, so you can set how intensive you want to use your battery. Do you want it to record shorter periods and things like that, or stay running all the time? Obviously you're going to need a power source for it to be able to do that. You can set up a schedule for when you want it to record as well, so really good options available. You've got your kind of like your motion sensitivity. I've got this set as 90% at the moment in my testing, so quite high. You can define your detection zones, pretty standard really on cameras like this. You can have multiple ones of those set up if you need to. You can have various notifications. One which I particularly like is when your device is offline, which on something like this is a really useful feature to have. You've also got your audible notifications as well, your alerts. So you can define a custom one as well. So if you want to, somebody is detected, you can have it play that back out through the camera, and then you can kind of like configure your image settings as well. So all really to do with the overall quality and obviously how much space is taken up on your SD card. And then you've got the light notification, so you can have it show that when it actually detects you, and you can change the kind of like the brightness and softness of it as well. So, and you've got your things like your PTZ settings. I'll talk a little bit more about that, but other things you've got, how much data you've used. So I found this really quite accurate. I actually took a screenshot, which I would pop up here, of what my mobile provider had said in terms of data that that SIM card had gone and used, and it was pretty much absolutely spot on really. Not a lot of data used, and I've obviously spent kind of like the last couple of weeks playing around with this. So next up, I've got some footage, both daytime and nighttime, colour nighttime for people that have asked for that previously. So you can actually see what the quality is like. Also show you a little bit of footage as shown through the EZVIZ Studio software, which I know some people have asked about this. This is something you can download from the EZVIZ website. Just makes it a bit easier for viewing and storing locally unencrypted versions of the video files. So let's start off with the first clip. So in this clip, I'm just testing out the tracking. So we're kind of like just going backwards and forwards just to make sure the camera is picking me up. It does kind of, you do get to the very edge before it starts to rotate. And then just picking up the speed a little bit here just to see if it can keep up with me as I go past. So it seems to do a reasonable job. So the next bit is my A4 sheet of paper with an appropriate message on for anybody who's not subscribed. But I think you can see, the camera's, the resolution's really good. It's done a really good job. The text is clear. That's a good 20 odd feet away at the start of the video. So quite impressed with that. So this next clip is just my corner detection test, just where I'm coming out from around the back of the property. And on the inset video, you'll hopefully see the notifications coming up. So they come up quite quickly. So, pretty good from that point of view. So this next test is just me coming around the back of the shed, and a bit of a distance test as well, I guess. But you know, the camera's already recording. You can see the light flashing in the planter on the right hand side, so it seems to have done quite well with that. So just a bit of nighttime footage. So you know, 8 o'clock at night in the UK now, this is pretty much pitch black. You know, there's a couple of little outdoor side lights, but you can see, you know, the quality is very good for a colour footage. So I'm just testing out some tracking at the night time. You know, I am going quite slow here. You know, you can just walk off the side of the viewing area, and it won't always follow you around. So hopefully EZVIZ can change that in the firmware. Well, you'll see in the corresponding footage. So this is actually from my my Pixel camera, and you can see the EZVIZ camera's picked me up. You know, all along. You know, it's kind of, I'm still within its field of view there, even though it's not rotated the head around anymore. But it probably does need to keep on going a little bit, because it's you know, it's really only when I've gone and walked back in front of the camera that it's actually then started following me round. So one thing I've noticed with this camera that I didn't see on the previous EZVIZ camera, when you use the EZVIZ Studio software, you can actually see the bounding boxes where the camera has detected the human movement. Now, in this little bit of footage here, I've just gone in through the door of my house, so there's a box there, but then there's also a bounding box around a plant that's in the garden, and I guess, you know, the camera still thinks that is something, you know, whether it thinks it's a human or something like that. There is a little bit of movement because there's a little bit of wind, but it's not something I saw with the previous camera. So I don't know whether that's something that needs fixing in the firmware, or whether it's meant to be like that, but the camera is set for human detection. Now, one of the other nice things that's in the app is the ability to create favorites, or favorite positions where your camera will look to. So basically you go into the PTZ settings and you move the camera head around, and then you mark that as a favorite position. You give it a name, and you can set up multiple ones of these, and then when you're viewing back, you can you know, you can go and just click on those particular ones in the list, and the camera will automatically move around to that position. I think my comments made on the previous EZVIZ camera review stand with this as well, because, you know, this is primarily software, but it'd be really good to you know, have the camera, once you've set these up, you know, to have the camera automatically maybe on some kind of schedule or something like that, you know, to go round between these different positions. You know, almost like a bit of a guard mode for you. So EZVIZ, again, you know, if you're watching this, you know, I think that would be really, really good. And obviously it is just software based to go and do that. So there you go. That is the EZVIZ EB8 4G. That's the first mobile data only camera I've reviewed on the channel. As I said at the outset, not something for everyone. I did, you know, when EZVIZ asked me, would I like to have a look at this? You know, I asked them the question, you know, what is the market that you're trying to target with this? And, you know, they came back with a couple of things. I think, you know, for some people, this might be, you know, maybe you've got a caravan stored somewhere or something like that. You know, you've got in a park, you know, a holiday park or something like that. Maybe you've got one of those static you know, lodges or something like that. You want to set that up there. I think the key thing here is wherever you're going to have it, you're going to have good 4G connectivity. Obviously the camera will record footage all the time. It doesn't need that connectivity unless you're using the cloud, but if you want to control the camera or view that footage back, you know, any of that kind of stuff, you're going to need that 4G connectivity. Now, in my testing of this, you know, even though it was only set up outside my house, when I did a firmware update of this, I actually, the camera lost its connectivity, and that needed me to go and reset the camera. I actually powered it off and powered it back on, and everything was fine, but it reported that it had no 4G connectivity for some reason. So you know, there's always a risk of something like that happening, I guess. You know, this is a really interesting use case. You know, this camera, if you've got Wi-Fi black spots or something like that, you know, this is something that's going to be ideal. It is just the 4G connectivity, and some of the mobile networks in the UK just aren't that great. So I've been testing this on an O2 based network, and I already know that where I live, that isn't a great 4G network. In fact, it's one of the networks which is particularly poor in my area. So in that regard, the camera has actually done quite well, because once I've done that firmware update and got it all running again, the camera has operated flawlessly from that perspective. I've been able to connect to it and look at live feed, look at the recordings that have been made, and it's performed absolutely perfectly. So in terms of the camera and the recording, so 2K, it's good footage. You can see that from the recordings there. I did my little walk test with the the printout with the wording on the paper. That's nice and clear. It's a battery camera, so EZVIZ's previous camera that I reviewed on the channel really did kind of surprise me in how rapid the camera was with its detection and notifications, because it was a mains powered camera. With battery cameras, you are always going to get a little bit of a delay in what it's capable of doing. It's got to be able to detect you and turn on the recording. So in terms of that, this is no worse than any other kind of like major brand out there. In some instances it's actually better. The notifications come through nice and quick. When you use the EZVIZ Studio software, you can see the bounding box where it's going to pick me up. So it is really quite quick from that point of view. But ultimately there is a little bit of a delay when it's kind of picking you up. In terms of the rest of the functionality, it's all pretty standard stuff. The only other issue I have with it is the tracking doesn't seem to be, in my testing, as good as it was with the previous EZVIZ camera that I reviewed. Sometimes I needed to be face on to the camera, almost like I was looking at the camera all the time for it to maintain that tracking. Sometimes I would be walking towards the camera and it would kind of like move its position. It didn't want to know, and then it would come back and position itself looking at me. Again, this is probably just firmware that EZVIZ can update, but I think you could see in some of the clips I did move quite quickly at one point there, and it did keep up with me in that respect. So I think it's a good camera. Just needs a few little tweaks software side, firmware side from EZVIZ. The build quality is absolutely superb, as it was with the other camera. So I will put a link down below in the description if you are interested in one of these. If EZVIZ come back to me over some of the issues that I've found during the use of it, I will update the description as well with regards to the findings there. But let me know what you think about this. Would you, do you have a use case for a 4G mobile data security camera? Let me know down below in the comments. If you've enjoyed the video, then don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. But as always, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.